Good now, everybody, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Wherever you are, whenever you listen, it's time for our show. Tuesday morning, October 22nd. This is helpful news, commentary, and of course, answers to your crypto questions. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know if you have a question, and we will get right into things right after our illustrious theme song. Keith is in the audience today, so we got to send it for him.
Good morning, the Rise Up Morning Show.
Ooh, my God, I just never get tired of it.
An instant and timeless classic.
And Keith just rattled it off. He was so humble about it, and I think he had no idea how much we truly, sincerely love it. So, congratulations, Keith. You have earned our forever admiration, love, and everybody else, you're welcome. We're lucky to have him. Alex, what's going on with you today, man?
Well, not much so far. Had a slow morning. Did a little plinking with
Technical term.
Some cards that I have been nerding out with lately. I was reading some news, found some interesting little tidbits, which actually sent me down a rabbit hole because I learned a new thing.
Okay.
So,
love when that happens. What did you learn?
well, if you wanna get right into that one. So check this out.
Check this out, he says. Okay.
Oh,
Don't keep me in suspense, man. Where's my drum roll at?
that's you. You're in charge of the drum roll. All right. So we're all familiar, at least we probably are, with Van Eck, right? So Van Eck has just been kind of going balls to the wall with crypto lately. And I mean, like on Twitter with their intern and everything, they're just
the Van Eck intern.
They're just kind of going hard. I mean, Van Eck's PFP is a pudgy penguin wearing a Van Eck blazer. So, take that as you will. But I thought this was interesting for a couple reasons. One, because I was not familiar with ETNs, which are exchange traded notes. And this caught my eye because, of course, as I'm, looking into this a little bit, Van Eck's Solana ETN now offers staking rewards for investors across the European Union. So the reason that this is interesting, again, something I just learned this morning, is because ETNs are different from ETFs. So they are both ETPs, exchange traded products. ETFs are funds, and these are notes. One of the key differentiators between the two is that ETNs do not offer dividends or interest payments. And yet here we have Solana enabling interest payments on an ETN in the EU, which I thought was pretty interesting. And there is, of course, all the information right over here on Van Eck's website about this note specifically, which kind of goes into some details. Total net assets, $78.88 million worth of SOL. It's it's 100% collateralized by SOL, which is interesting. Also, good for SOL. And it kind of has like a little overview. It's, I don't know. I just thought it was intriguing. This would be something that we've kind of been talking about lately. Would be the thing that is beneficial for exchange traded products as it relates to proof of stake cryptocurrencies, because it's extremely counterproductive. And in opposition to the way that these networks are supposed to work, that large amounts of the native currency, the coin, SOL, ETH, whatever, is held without it being staked. So this implies that the entire bundle of SOL being held by Van Eck to back up this note is being staked, which is obviously the way to do it, which is immediately 10 times more bullish and more exciting than the ETFs, which are horrendously unpopular, as Will can attest.
Good morning, Will. Hang on a second. I have you turned down here because I wasn't sure if you were in the StreamYard or not. Say again. Hello, welcome.
What's up, guy?
Hi.
We were just talking about how popular the ETH ETFs are.
Hi. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
This reminds me of what's that?
Everyone
what's
on
that
YouTube
show?
is like, "What the hell just happened?"
What just happened?
Did you like that noise?
Will's mouth.
Do you remember? What was it Zoom? You remember Zoom with like the talking mouth, the talking face, the big like
Oh, yeah.
just like monocolored face from PBS?
Nope.
Hey
Are
there.
you talking
Stacey.
about Face from Nickelodeon?
Oh yeah, we're talking about it, baby.
Well, yeah. So there's Face from Nickelodeon, but then there was Zoom, which was like separate. I want to say Zoom was on PBS, and they had like a big talking wall thing on Zoom. Someone help me out.
All I remember is
this was a long time ago.
Kids Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Kid,
Yes.
Nick Jr. Man.
Yeah. Hey there, Face
Yeah,
here.
Nick Jr. That was it.
Hey there, Face here. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey there, Face here. Someone said it reminded them of Stitch, like Lilo and Stitch. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, like yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Well, welcome to the show, Will.
So we're talking about
And Maverick.
Ethereum, right?
We're
well,
talking
I
about a
was-
new ETN, which is a range of letters we did not know that exchange traded products extended to until now. So
Correct.
you're basically caught up.
Yeah, so Will, I was just sharing the VanEck ETN turning on staking rewards for Solana. So it's a Solana ETN that VanEck hosts. It's only available in the EU. And the interesting thing here is just that typically ETNs, as I'm learning, do not offer dividends or staking rewards, or not staking rewards, interest payments. And because of the staking rewards through Solana, this particular ETN is offering interest payments, which is unique and exciting because it's SOL, and exciting because all of the SOL that they're collateralizing this note with is being staked, which is obviously good, in contrast to the horrendously unpopular ETH ETF. So that's kind of just what we just started talking to this.
Are international Ethereum ETFs offering staking rewards right now?
That's a great question. Let's see if we can find out.
Is it a Solana thing? Because that doesn't make any sense to me about why it would be allowed on Solana and not Ethereum. But
Well-
if it makes sense that it's just an outside of the US thing, that's a regulatory thing, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now too to see. ETFs staking. My computer's just loading and being slow. I'll race you, Alex.
This
Haha.
is great because I don't have a computer here at my parents' place, so I just get to be here looking all cutesy and stuff. For the
Okay,
camera while
well,
you guys
make
talk
sure
about
you
it.
catch what everyone's saying about your cutesy face in the comments.
So the 3IQ Ether staking ETF, where's this one from? Because this one provides exposure to the potential of digital asset staking. That to me sort of implies that staking is. Where is this available though? What country is? I feel like I've heard of 3IQ.
Yeah.
I feel like I have too.
Yeah, you guys
I'm
do
sorry.
great research.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'm just,
so-
we're usually we're a little faster off
You
the
can
jump than
so
this.
you can stake ETH with 3IQ.
What a great sentence that is. You can stake ETH with 3 IQ.
This looks American based on all of their partners and all of
Little
their.
Brad is dumbass.
This is definitely American. It's Canadian and American. Okay.
Canadian
So
makes sense.
so 3IQ Corporation is a Canadian corporation, and then 3IQ Digital Assets is an American splinter in New York. This is
Okay, hang
interesting.
on.
So
Here,
I'm sure they're just offering the product in Canada then.
that's it's not really giving me much. It's up here on the screen on YouTube right now. Art with heart. 75% of ETH holders have 3IQ.
Nice.
Shots fired. Interesting. Yeah, so it has a whole section here. Digital asset management staking.
I'm doing another search here because I'm not getting conclusive results either way. I feel like this is a question we should know the answer to.
Okay, so here's what I'm gathering. I do not believe that this thing that I'm looking at is. Ooh. Okay. Well, yeah. Here's the answer. Unit holders of the 3IQ Ether ETF which is TSX ETH-Q, and the Ether Fund, QETH, not to be confused, will automatically gain the benefits that come from ETH staking to commemorate this landmark innovative milestone, blah, 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 waiving management fees, yada, yada. So this has been online since October of last year.
Talking about this Van Eck filing?
No, this is the 3IQ ETH ETF.
The 3IQ thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting because this is absolutely not being discussed or publicized, and now I have another rabbit hole to go down.
Be offered in the U.S.
Yeah, it can't be. What I'm confused about.
It's not in the U.S.
So
there's no way it's in the U.S.
I think what I'm getting from this is that it's advertised as North America's first staking ETP, but they are also they're also running their own dedicated validator. So my guess would be that in America you can stake ETH with 3IQ as privately held Ethereum, but perhaps not receive any of the benefits if you are holding units in the fund. That's kind of what I'm getting. Although this is very interesting, and it's wild that I have not come across this before. Daily yield, segregated cold storage custody, dedicated validators, clear tax structure, TFSA and RRSP eligible. Those are tax terms that I'm not familiar with. Wild.
Yeah, nor am I. I'm curious if they're doing some kind of if it's staking for not U.S. people, or if it's another form of getting around.
I don't know.
Like, I'm talking about the Solana one here.
They're using Coinbase custody. 3IQ is for all their shit.
You can use Coinbase custody in Canada.
Yeah, and most of the ET, like all the ETH ETFs use those.
Canada, you're in North America, so claiming you have the first one in North America, they could only be doing business in Canada. I'm sure it's only limited to Canada, because if there was a workworkaround,
everybody would be doing it.
Didn't have his fingers in it. It's no go. Maybe there's something there, but I just really think it's just in Canada.
Okay, let me ask you guys a similar related question to get us out of the weeds of this research that we dropped the ball on. How many ETs, ETXs do you think that there are exchange traded products? How many different acronyms do you think?
Well, there's the ETN, the ETP, and the ETF. So at the very least 3.
Okay, you're scratching the surface.
There's definitely an ETI.
What does the I stand for? Because I don't see that in this list.
Investment. Electronic traded investment.
Alex, do you have any guesses for other letters? Other letters? 5. Okay, 5 is good. It's a little low.
F, P, N. I mean, if you said 5 is low, then I'll just.
Okay, are you ready for this? It's close. It's 7. It's 7. There are 7. There are exchange traded funds, which we got. There are exchange traded notes, which we got. There are exchange traded commodities, ETCs. Then there's another type of ETC, an exchange traded certificate. Then there are exchange traded bonds, ETBs. And then get this one, exchange traded funds of funds, which is abbreviated as ETFs of ETFs. It's exactly how I feel, Will.
He's got a narwhal.
How cute! You should send that to you should send that to Sui.
So
wait, is
Alp says the
Sui
3IQ doesn't have no, but their consensus mechanism is narwhal and tusk. Says that 3IQ doesn't have Bitcoin or ETH ETFs. They sure do. I'm staring right at them.
Well, do they have exchange traded bonds or commodities?
Actually, I take that back. Bitcoin,
certificate?
I do not know about, but here on the screen right here, ARK bought $21 million worth of 3IQ Ether staking ETF, and they got out of $14.5 million worth of Coinbase stock. This was from August of this year.
Well, you can. Let's see. Wait.
I just want to shout out Travis in the comments while
You
we're
can buy that
deliberating
through
this.
international markets, though.
Say that again, Will.
I mean, ARK could buy that through the Canadian Toronto Stock Exchange, or not the Toronto Stock Exchange, but like through an international market that just isn't the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or S&P 500 affiliate.
And it's just weird that I'm not able. I mean, I'm unable to find specifics about where. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. I found it. Here, it's right here on the screen. So ARK debuts buying 3IQ Ether staking ETF. So while dumping Coinbase, ARK has made its first purchase of the Canada-based 3IQ Ether staking ETF, which is a fund seeking long-term capital appreciation investment by Ether, and generates passive rewards through staking. Well, there you go. There you go, Canada. That's dope.
Yeah, all the international folks get to play with stuff that we don't get to play, which has been a trend as long as we've had ICOs, for the most part.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen,
Sweet.
brother.
Protecting the investor.
I feel so protected.
Yeah.
Feel so safe.
So much for that.
But don't worry, because you can bet with 20x leverage on Obama Sonic Inu, but you cannot buy the Ethereum staking ETF. Go fuck yourself.
Obama Sonic Inu. That's
become Evan and I's go-to shitcoin ticker. Which the funniest part is that it's a real meme coin. It was one of the ones that Evan and I used as like how to spot an obvious scam, like I don't know, six or 8 months ago or something.
Yeah, man. Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic Inu.
That's what it was. No, it was Harry Potter,
What did they say,
Obama,
though?
Sonic Inu. There was a 69 in there somewhere for sure.
Of course there was. That's how you know it's legit.
We found it on Token Sniffer, and we were sniffing something that turned out to be a scam. And then down in the bottom, it had related contracts of other projects that this particular scam wallet has launched or funded. And the first one was a 99% correlation with Harry Potter 69 Obama Sonic Inu or whatever.
That's just fun to say.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we've got that. We've got the ApeCoin market is booming, like we talked about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We have got Bitcoin kind of teetering around, causing a little bit of fear in people. I don't know if you saw, but the fear and greed index is at 70, which seems a little bit low. Though I feel like
Low. Isn't that high?
It is.
is
It's
it high?
higher
It
than
seems
we've
low
been.
from where we've been. It's higher than we've been, but it seems low. I don't know. It just seems low to me.
I think
highest-
that
low because altcoins haven't popped off. That's why.
Yeah.
Because very few retail people own Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes up, and everyone just goes, "Why are we in a bear market?" And go, "No, look at Bitcoin. No, look at the altcoins will get pulled up like an elastic band getting pulled down, where it gets taller and taller, and then you launch it, and then you get like 3 good weeks, and you make hundreds of percentage gains. But that pulling down of the alt, and so now it's step one. It's why it's one reason why it's always good to have a little bit of Bitcoin in your portfolio.
So
Yeah, both ways are definitely nice.
So it's like you have Bitcoin that's been going up, but you still have altcoins down like 50% or more.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm you okay, Evan?
Yeah, sorry. I got like a fragment of tea. Lodged in my throat for a second. So I was trying not to disrupt the show, but you caught me.
That's what you like.
No,
Go
I
ahead,
was
brother.
I was speculating just on like the level of fear and greed, and take this with a grain of salt because it's me talking. And I am not a trader, and I don't really this stuff, to be honest, doesn't really interest me that much, so I don't really pay that much attention. But if I was to speculate as to why, Bitcoin going back up again and kind of retesting, previous resistance or whatever, that's a Will question. To me, it would seem like I would be a little bit less, I'd be like, aware and like the greed is creeping, but perhaps a little bit less greedy just because I'm bored of like us retesting this resistance and like staying in this range. Like we're still below 70. We haven't set a new all-time high. There's too much like division in the Twitter sphere's consensus about altcoins going when, if, whatever. And it's boring. It's just a sort of a boring phase, which is really interesting to say because we're still seeing these large scale swings and odd altcoins doing 100, 200%. We've seen Sui do 400% in the last 5 months now. We've seen ApeCoin go on a rip and, more than double. All of these sorts of things. And it's funny to be bored while things like that are happening, which is just, for me at least, further evidence of the claim that this is an atypical market and the typical 4-year market structure and cycle is just being eroded every week that goes by, for me at least.
I don't know if I don't know about that, but I don't have a strong feeling right now either for or against what you said, because I have in my head right now the lessons that we learned from 2023 to early 2024, which is you're not going to get every altcoin across the board going up, because Bitcoin's dominance since day one of the ETF being live has just done this. That's all Bitcoin dominance has done. If you look on the weekly chart, it's just going up. So you're not going to have every altcoin do well, right? So that's the different piece. There's less fluctuation. There's less this in Bitcoin's dominance, and it's more of a literal straight line. But what we've seen that if you really want to be a winner in this market, you gotta pick the right altcoin. You can't just buy 15 to 20 altcoins and 15 of them or maybe 10 of them are going to give you multiple hundreds of percentages or 50%, right? You're going to buy those 15 or 20%, and you're going to have 3 of them do well, and that might not be enough to pay you back for all of the seed money you put in things. So we've had to be really picky. In 2023, you had to have Injective, you had to have Render, and you had to have Solana, right? In 2024, it's been up until the correction on July 31st, it was Aerodrome, it was Toncoin, it was
Tron.
Tron, yeah, and a handful of others that did
and
really well.
Yeah.
And then since the correction, though, it's been Sui. Aerodrome has also done well, with its recovery better than others. And then also in early 2023, you had Ondo also, or 2024, you had Ondo also. But you've had to really be good at picking the right altcoins. So it's good. You have to take your time to do a little bit more research. Figure out what everybody's talking about, but then dive through those coins and figure out where the adoption is. Who is the hottest leader in the hottest of trends? If you'd done that, you could have noticed Ondo early. If you were looking at who's going to really be a competitor to Solana, how could that happen? Base could have come up on your radar. Sui and Say would have come up on your radar screen early. And these are the questions you have to ask yourself. Don't just listen to content creators and be they're talking about this coin, buy that coin. I'll buy every single coin they're talking about and try to get in and out early and all that kind of stuff. You're going to end up with coins that have a small enough market cap where maybe they double, but they do that in 2 days. You have to really time that super, super well to find the winners in a market where Bitcoin's dominance is just going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
You really got to make sure you're asking yourselves the right questions of, is it getting adoption amongst its targeted audience? Is it in a hot blockchain ecosystem? Is it in the right crypto trend? And is money flowing to it? Ask yourself those 4 questions, and you put yourself in a better position to actually be able to profit in a market right now where you got to be real picky with your altcoins if you're going to find a winner.
I think you do. And I think most people are not going to arrive at the conviction or the clarity of, they're not going to get the information early enough, or they're not going to get there and be able to move enough size. I also see people, the other trap I see people fall into, and that I have certainly fallen into, is too much diversification.
Yes.
People who are chronically here are just, they bought a little bit of everything. And then they've picked a lot of losers, and the winners that they picked, it doesn't matter because they spent all their capital.
It doesn't win enough.
It doesn't win enough. That's right. And they end up holding the bag for longer, thinking I just need a little more profit. And then they round trip the bag. So for people like that, I still think one of the best moments of my my crypto journey this last year has been when my dad was talking to me about his portfolio, and he was like, well, I've figured out, I think I only have the attention really for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Ondo. And I said, Dad, I said that's probably a better portfolio than 99%. That's probably a better portfolio than mine. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you got the attention for, you feel confident about it, great. Good for you. You know, like that's killer. I love it. You know,
my portfolio right now is the smallest my portfolio's ever been. It's Bitcoin and Aerodrome. That's it. I've never had only 2 coins. I really just wanted to make it simple this time because I just feel like making it simple will put me in the best position to like best be able to manage my money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We have some good comments here. Joe says it's like having one of those variety stars on the beach. Just sell ice cream. And Travis says this one's interesting. People look at crypto as making fiat, meaning I'm in crypto to make dollars, but you're not looking at it at the big picture, he said.
So I've made that exact video
about
38 times.
Yeah.
That's been just like one of my mantras, just like you're not, but I don't necessarily. So I have a couple thoughts about it. One, I don't think you're wrong. I wouldn't say that you're wrong. You are absolutely missing something if the only thing that you're looking at crypto for is to make more dollars. However, the only thing that 80% of crypto is good for is making more dollars. The vast majority of it really has no purpose beyond that. And honestly, 80 is probably me being way too generous. So, you know, that's worth considering. 2, there are a lot of people who deliberately only look at it that way. And you know what? That's fine. Like, you know, markets need traders. Traders make the world go around. There's a lot of people in here asking about like, should I sell this and or whatever? And, you know, I don't know what Turbo coin is, but it sounds awful.
Turbo is the token that AI
it's a
made.
Snail meme coin.
Yeah. It was made by the assistance of an AI. I think somebody prompted it and was like, we should make a meme coin. And it was the first one that was like that. So that's the meme. It's an AI token.
So literally. Let me just address every single person in the chat and in the streams here who is asking if they should sell token XYZ, whatever, or if you would rather hold this or that or whatever. So first point, if you're up in profit on something, it's always a good consideration to take some profit off the table. You will never be sorry that you took profit off the table.
This man's crazy, everybody.
I know. So take it from someone who's round tripped many times. Take it from someone who has watched a portfolio go from low 5 figures to mid 6 figures and then back to 5 figures. Take it from someone who has refused to take profits many, many times, always regretted that, and someone who's also taken profits many times and never regretted that. There's 2 different flavors of regret here. And you just have to ask yourself, which one would you rather have? Would you rather regret that you didn't take profits because now your stuff is worthless and you realize that like, oh, well, that flame burnt out? Or would you rather take profits a little bit early and not have made as much money as you could, which is a smaller percentage chance by a wide margin? Okay, so those are your 2 choices. I will leave it up to you to decide which one speaks to your soul more profoundly, but I know which one I would rather be in from copious amounts of
experience. Which regret do you want? Regret or regret? That
Yes,
was immediately where my head went.
Oh my God.
There are 2 types
Yes,
of regret. And I was like,
would you rather have
regret.
ragrats or regret?
Ragrats or regret? Which one do
2.
you want tattooed on you?
So Gurbaz in the chat here, I'm going to talk directly to you because I love you dearly and you are very persistent. So this is especially for you, but everyone can benefit from this. The way that you ask and the frequency with which you ask the same question to us repeatedly indicates to me that you do not understand what it is that you're investing in and you're over invested, because I'm getting a lot of anxiety off of the comments that you're leaving, which typically when people act like that, it's because they're really nervous about the state of this. You might be nervous because you have too much of something, or you might be nervous because you don't have something and everyone is trying to pressure you into buying that thing. They've confirmed that I'm correct.
Yep, you're correct.
So this is what I want you to think about. And this relates back to one of Evan's points here about investing with conviction. Okay, when you're investing in cryptocurrency, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can, like Evan said, spray and pray shotgun method, buy as much as humanly possible, and know that the law of probability will increase your odds of picking a winner if you bet on 100 horses. Okay. However, as you spread your capital out that wide, the margins with which you do win go down with every single degree of spread that you add to your portfolio. And if you bet on 100 horses and 2 of those horses win and 98 of them lose, are you really in a better position than you would have been had you calmed down, taken a breath, stepped back, and actually gotten an understanding of all of the stuff that you're buying and why people are into things? So a good example would be, if you're looking at this AI project because it's all over social media, but you know nothing about it, you don't know what AI really is, you don't understand how it works, you've heard of ChatGPT, and that's about it, but you know that everyone's talking about it. So you're like, okay, well, 10 billion flies can't be wrong, even if it's a pile of shit. Or then 2, here's this meme coin that is funny and whatever. And then 3, here's this like protocol that from listening to people or looking on social media or whatever that developers are interested in. So you got these 3 choices, right? You're trying to pick which one. If you don't fall into any of them and understand them a little bit more deeply, you're just going to have to guess based on input from lots of different talking heads on social media, which is, you know what? Tons of people do that. You might get lucky, you might not, but that's what you'd be relying on. You'd be relying on luck or guesswork versus investing with conviction, meaning, hey, I know that in the long run, things that have staying power across markets are the ones that lots of people use for X, Y, and Z reasons. So I'm going to try to figure out which of these blockchains actually has a bunch of users. You've got Sui right now. Sui is all over the place, and there's lots of people talking about it. And I posed the question through a video. I challenged anyone to tell me what's unique and special about Sui, and I get a lot of answers that it's fast. It is fast. It's very fast. Speed is not unique.
No.
In this day and age at all. It might have a few TPS faster than this or that or whatever. But at this stage of the industry, nobody cares. And
especially really quickly, if your product isn't even live, if it's in testnet, if it's pre-testnet, if it's pre-launch, you don't have users and you're boasting about how fast and cheap you are.
I have some things to add about Sui too after you're done, Alex.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find my point here. Anyway, so that's kind of what I mean. So in that case, right, the case for Sui becomes it's being talked about on social media a lot. You can't sit here and tell me that it has more users than everything, or it's processing more transactions than everything, or it has more volume than everything, or it has higher TVL than everything. It's not doing poorly in any of those categories, but it's not the best. And so the thing that people are doing is imagining, I was late to Solana, I'm probably not late to Sui. And that's the bet they're taking. It has nothing to do with anything else. So as long as that's the way that you approach all of these different investments, I'm guessing based on trends and what social media says, and that's the extent of your understanding into these things, you're going to keep doing exactly what Gurbaz was doing here, which is trying to get confirmation about hunches to buy or sell. Looking for financial advice is what people are doing. And if you rely on someone to tell you when to buy, you have to rely on that same person to tell you when to sell, and vice versa. So just keep that in mind. If you find yourself asking all of these questions and you feel really nervous and you're feeling really pressured, whether it's to buy or to sell, you're dancing on the edge of making very bad decisions. And that's the warning that I would like to leave everyone with.
Mm-hmm. So some of the things I would also like to add about Sui is there is a genuine reason right now why a lot of people are excited about Sui, and it's because of it being able to potentially attract more developers. Yes. Because Solana's language uses Rust. And
can we just highlight, Will, that you said it's potential to maybe attract developers, just for the record?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big
operative terms there.
But there are still people building on it, but we'll see how many more people come.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because number goes up is the best type of marketing, and number has been going up. But Sui uses a language called Move. And it's my understanding from developers that Move is just easier, more familiar of a language to use than
It is.
Rust.
Yeah.
And that's the thought process of like, oh, hey, it has like really high throughput, potential to really, really scale, and it could attract more developers to use Move. I want everybody to know that on Solana's roadmap is the addition of Move. Okay,
Yeah.
so once that happens, the ability for Sui to overtake Solana one day probably slim to none, because Solana has such a, I'm doing air quotes around this, first mover advantage. It's not the first mover. Ethereum is, of course. But right now there is a potential advantage that Sui has from a attracting of developer standpoint. More developers come, they build more things. Maybe there are more things that get built that people want to use, and attracts more people to Sui, making number go up and adoption go up and all that stuff, right? But if Solana is going to add that too, depending on when they're able to get to it, that removes the major piece of competitive advantage that Sui has over Solana right now. And then when you time that up with Solana's Fire Dancer upgrade, which is coming very soon. I mean, it's out now. They're just
In
moving
stages.
it to more and more nodes on Solana. Then you have Solana winning in every single competitive category. So like, you're going to see people be like, Sui is going to kill Solana. And it's like, no, it probably won't. But it doesn't mean that Sui doesn't have a future. It doesn't mean that Sui doesn't have the ability to carve out its own sliver of the, platform blockchain space, right? But, when you hear people saying some wildly bullish things about Sui, and with any cryptocurrency, take several large grains of salt with that.
Well said.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to add some context for people who are like, okay, so you guys are just talking heads on social media. What the hell am I supposed to do with all this information? Let's talk about how you go about building conviction. Because Alex, as you said,
you're supposed to become a premium plus member of our Discord.
That's right.
Give us money.
You need to buy 10 morning show mugs, and when you wake up, you will have the wisdom of the gods.
Each of our mugs comes with a side of high conviction.
Yeah, it's like osmosis, but with spending money.
Side note, the mug really does make everything taste better. But if you want to be a better investor, well, let me tell you what. I want to just highlight what Alex said about relying on other people and thinking that it is a rational way to like achieve success. If I'm watching Calvin Hill's live and Calvin Hill highlights, I saw him highlight AIOZ, and his rationale for this was like, they are doing AI, they are doing decentralized physical infrastructure. Do I have to say it again to you? You know what I mean? He's like pointing to buzzwords. He's not substantiating the hype. He's putting on a great performance. And when
that
people
soundbite
see,
just gave me a cough.
Thank
I'm
you.
running a fever now.
Yeah, I was feeling sick. Just sold all my bags. If Calvin Hill, if the price of AIOZ goes through the roof, if AIOZ is the winner, if they find product market fit, if they hire everybody from Facebook, if they, I don't know, all their competitors just get blown up, whatever. And you go back to Calvin Hill or come to us or come anywhere and say, man, I'm so glad I listened to Calvin Hill. What you're doing is you're making the fundamental attribution error. This is a well-studied phenomenon that human beings sometimes erroneously attribute to genius, to acumen, to skill, what is actually just chance. The truth is, if Calvin is saying, look, they're marketing this way, they're doing that is one of Will's many pillars. It says nothing about the actual products they're building. It's not a scientifically testable, repeatable thing, a reason you can point back to say, yes, Calvin Hill picked this one, except that it had a name that he liked. He was fortune telling. If you don't want to be fortune telling, you can use those prongs that Will gave us. Attention, we're talking about, give them to me quick, Will, because you said them so concise when you put your fingers up like that. We're looking at.
Yes, I remember what I said for sure.
You said you need to pay attention to the attention they have to the maybe TVL. We often say TVL, but you just said it so concisely. I don't remember
exactly what I said, but I'm sure my answer will be very similar to what it is now, but it is, ask yourself, is this valuable and is it addressing a real world problem or a problem in the crypto space? Does it have the ability to get adoption amongst its targeted audience? And then you also ask yourself, who is their targeted audience? then ask yourself, is it in a hot blockchain? Solana's hot, Sui's hot, Base is hot. Those are a couple to look at. Is it in a hot trending crypto category? Is it an AI coin? Is it a DeFi coin? Is it a tokenization of real world asset coin? Is it a gaming coin? Potential hot trends.
Yes.
And then go and take a look using some tools like a DeFi Llama or a DApp Radar or a token terminal or a whole bunch out there. And then try to see, okay, are wallets being created on it? Is money flowing to it, right? Is it actually getting adopted? Those are 6 questions to ask yourself that you can go through and research. And once you get used to knowing what tools to use, you can figure out an answer of, is this something I should be looking at in about 10 minutes?
And that's what I would call proof in the pudding. It is measurable, demonstrable. You can look across many chains and ecosystems. And the last thing I want to say as I land this plane, you're like, okay, great. All these tokens have proof in the pudding. If you are a person with a low net worth, you're a person who's just foraying into cryptocurrency, fight the temptation to do this research with every single crypto token that you see. You want to get a process down where you can start to eliminate some stuff. And that comes from spending a little bit of time with people like us who can tell you, oh man, AIOZ, that's been around for years. They used to be trying to be the decentralized YouTube, but they figured out that wasn't going to work on the blockchain because the data was too heavy. So now they're pivoting, and I don't know if they'll have the attention, but they have a lot of salty bag. You know what I mean? Like context like that. I don't need to spend time with AIOZ. I don't need to bet on that horse because it already has removed check marks from so many boxes onto the next one. If you need a research process, we have one on YouTube. I'll share it with you in a minute that you can start to apply. But kind of the point I wanted to make is that you are not going to miss out, like Will said earlier, picking the best altcoins by spending the time to gather the conviction. So that, as Alex says, until you have conviction, you don't buy it. If I was looking at these Move tokens, I might look at all the tokens that use Move. I might pick one. I would say, okay, Solana's going to get it. Sui's got it. Aptos has got it. It was developed by Facebook people on their Libra blockchain. So I'm going to pick one of those horses. Who's got the most proof in the pudding? That's where I'm putting my
Then you
money.
also have to ask yourself, like, is having the Move language enough of a value driver for the industry?
Totally.
Like, is there?
I'm just
enough
using that as one, like, if that's something
yeah.
you decide is important.
No, but also it's
How to
like
parse
it's a
it
question
down.
to ask yourself too. It's like you hear coins. Like a great example is you had modular blockchains start popping up
Sure.
earlier this year with Celestia, right? You had a bunch of modular blockchain cryptos kind of pop up also. And you then had to ask you, like, you saw people like, oh, it's this great thing, and it's fast, and it's has this throughput, and blah 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 blah. Then you have to ask yourself, like, okay, is there a current pain point in the crypto industry where modular blockchains are needed? And the other big thing about modular blockchain too is, like, it's going to solve the trilemma problem. Trilemma problem is, how do you balance having security, having throughput, and being decentralized, essentially, right? Because usually you can go towards 2 of those things and have to sacrifice on one, right? And modular blockchains are like, oh, we're going to try to fix this. And you had to ask yourself, like, okay, is there like a really big pain point in the industry right now for the trilemma problem? And if you sit around and ask yourself, like, no, there isn't. Okay.
There's not.
So then what we saw is like Celestia do well for a few months, and maybe it'll still continue to do well. It's like the first one from that space. Typically the first mover in like a new category tends to do well throughout a bull cycle. So we'll see, but like, they're not going to become wildly popular because you have things like Solana that are addressing those concerns, still have been putting upgrades through since the modular blockchains came out. Like their copying of ZK Sync technology from Ethereum that helps to scale Solana even more before it gets Fire Dancer. And I'm just using Solana as an example because, like,
Sure.
It's a clear leader in terms of its adoption this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have to ask yourself, like, cool, like this modular blockchain is hot, but like, is it really addressing a real pain in the space? And then you ask yourself, like, with Move, is there real pain points in the market for developers using Rust coding languages? And to answer that question, you just go like, well,
Yes.
people seem to be building a lot on Solana. So, clearly it's not a huge problem. It's not like stopping people from building. So Move is a nice to have. It's not a need to have. A good example of a need to have was Ethereum in 2020 could not scale. You would go and mint an NFT, and it would cost you $200.
Sometimes 2,000, man.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah, it was a big problem. So then layer 2s became very popular in terms of investment options, because it was addressing a big problem, not in the real world, but a big problem in the crypto world. And that is, going back to your original question, is this solving a pain point, like a real world pain point, something valuable, something that you can measure monetarily? And is it able to get adoption amongst its targeted use case? For layer 2s, yeah, they can definitely get adoption amongst their targeted audience, because their targeted audience are blockchain savvy people who happen to have a lot of money and who right now have a big pain in their life, which was paying mainnet Ethereum gas fees, which is still a problem today for some folks. But, so like, I just wanted to touch on that, because, every single time we get a trend, you have to take a pause and go like, what pain point is this solving? Is that pain point really painful? And can they get adoption amongst the target audience? And you don't need, a project doesn't need to hit on all three of those things for its number to go up, right? All you need is attention in a crypto bull run. If you have that, the number can go up. But when it comes to finding like the number one altcoin you want to dump most of your altcoin investments into, those are questions you absolutely want to be asking yourself.
So I think it's worth pointing out too that there's different ways that you can gauge like potential success of an altcoin when it comes to like making a good choice for your investment, because I just wrote this down. The difference between like doing well right now versus staying power versus real adoption. Staying power and real adoption kind of go hand in hand, and we've seen that with Solana, right? The marriage of staying power and real adoption. So at the stage that we're in right now, mass adoption gets kind of bandied about as like the pie in the sky, like that's what we want. The first thing that you have to have, and I can't say this enough, and it's amazing to me that no one else phrases it this way. In order for anything to be massively adopted, the masses have to become interested in it first. You can't skip interest and go straight from nothing to adoption. So when you're looking at something and you're trying to determine whether or not crypto X has the potential to be massively adopted, you first have to ask yourself, why would anyone be interested in it? And is anyone interested in it? And when I say is anyone, I don't just mean 88 talking heads on Twitter in a circle jerk. That doesn't count as real interest. Okay? A bunch of influencers does not count as interest. Even if those influencers lead their follower bases to become interested in it because they would like to quickly flip the currency. None of those are people who are interested in the technology or in the network. They're interested in the profit potential, which is, again, is fine, but it has nothing to do with determining staying power or mass adoption or mass interest if you're looking at a long-term investment where you can like feel comfy about putting something in it and waiting years.
Can you clarify what you mean by time frame? You say years, and I'm just struggling with it because I'm thinking of like the Reddit moment when Reddit like onboarded millions of people to NFTs, or like Telegram now has a blockchain, but that hasn't seemed to move the needle very much for like my mom.
Yeah, no, like, so it's a great question. And just like Mel said, half of these things will be gone in a year. If you look at like the top 100 every year going back for the last 10 years, it's a shifting list, right? Like it's not the same every time. We have things that did amazing. Remember Quant? It had no hope of ever being massively adopted. No one gave a shit about it. It was not massively interesting, but everyone saw the potential to make a quick buck in it, which is why, spoiler alert, it's probably never coming back because there's nothing cool about it.
There's no reason for it to come back.
There's nothing unique about it, and no one who it was alleged to be targeted for actually cares about it. But I bet you there's a lot of people who made a lot of money investing in Quant in the short term because they saw it, they watched it explode, and then they sold and they took their profit and they left. Okay? That's the difference.
It's the blockchain of blockchains.
I know. Damn it. So when I say time frame, I mean whether I'm investing in something for the next month versus the next 6 months versus the next year versus the rest of my life. And like, I look at Bitcoin as the ultimate long-term investment. I have a very long long-term conviction in Bitcoin. I do not care if Bitcoin goes to $30,000 within the next year, as, I don't know, some horrible thing happens and it just craters. That doesn't change my conviction because of the way that I've built it. However, if I watched Sui, which I do also have probably short-term interest in, not because I have overwhelming faith that it's going to get massively adopted or massively interest or onboard a ton of users or do anything amazing and revolutionary, but just because everyone's talking about it right now, it's not unlikely it could go up. I wouldn't buy that and forget about it for the next 10 years. And if it crashed by 80%, I'd be, big yikes. It's got a lot more work to do to recover than something else would.
Can I actually ask you both a question on that note? Is that the end of your point, Alex? Because I want to take you. That's
I just need to like semi wrap up, and I know you do.
Okay, then maybe we
points.
talk about this tomorrow. But
Okay.
we talk a lot about taking profits, but
Yes.
your point and a couple of questions we've had, I think we should have a conversation about when to take losses and the resources people can use.
Yeah.
Like, that's something you and your accountant could decide because you can claim some of those losses.
Correct.
It depends on your, how much you've invested. Is it more than you can afford to lose? There are a lot of good considerations. We just don't talk about that, and it's an equal part of an important strategy. So
I do it.
I
every
do
year.
it. I do it.
I do it
Big
every
time.
year. Yep.
Sometimes when I don't mean to, I have to take those losses.
Sometimes the universe makes that decision for us. Sometimes. Sometimes
One
we do it
thing
ourselves.
that is like, if you have, let's say you have, I'm just going to pick a number, $10,000 in losses in trading, right? It can be in crypto, it can be in stocks, just trading. So you have $10,000 in losses by the end of the year. That's $10,000 in losses for that tax year. But the thing is if you don't use that, against profits, those tax losses can be pulled forward into the next year. So let's say in 2024, you have $10,000 in losses. And you don't have any profits to go against that to wipe out the taxes that you would owe. Well, that means that in the tax season of 2025, so 1 year later, let's say you made $25,000 in profit, right? That's your profit. So you're going to be taxed on that 25 grand. But the 10K from tax losses you had in the previous year, you can pull forward against your 25K in profit, meaning you're only going to pay taxes on $15,000, right? That's something that you can do. And the other thing too is if you have, because we pay taxes in America in April, and let's say you're about to pay taxes, your 2024 taxes. You obviously pay your 2024 taxes in April of 2025. But let's say that you had some losses between January to March of 2025. What you can do is you can take those losses, you can go to your accountant and say, hey, I know I have profits of $10,000 from last year, but between January to March of this year, I lost $5,000. Can I pull that forward into my 2024 and write those losses off from 2025 into 2024? And your accountant will go, yeah, sure, of course you can. So instead of paying taxes on $10,000 in profit, you're now paying taxes from the year prior on $5,000 of profit. So there's a lot of wiggle room. So if you do your taxes yourself, that's fine. But when you are in a position where you want to do something like that, go to an H&R Block and they can help you, right? Very simple, very easily accessible accountants that can do that kind of stuff for you. And have them make sure that it's being done correctly so that if you do get audited, and if you have cryptocurrency on your taxes, you're in a much higher likelihood of a person to be audited. You can have H&R Block make sure that they're doing it right for you. And then you can also pay, it's like something like an additional $60 or something, so that if you do get audited, they'll handle it for you, which is something that I do every single year. Just because if it does happen, it would be the worst fucking headache in the world for me. I wouldn't have any idea what to do. So I would do that with my accountant. So, that's great. But yeah, that's just a little lesson on tax loss harvesting.
That's a good tip. I think we can talk more about it,
Yes.
profits tomorrow, because I know I have stuff to say, Alex, but give us a final thought before you head off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Or the sunrise.
No, I think profit taking strategies, both to harvest losses and also to claim victories, is hyper important. I think it's worth doing, honestly, a stream a week, just about strategizing that whole thing, which you can do without even having to mention specific cryptocurrencies. So if that's of interest, then just let us know and we can make that kind of a regular segment. So there was a couple rapid fire points that I just wanted to make really quick as I head out to the old rescue to clean up some shit, which makes me think about crypto. So there's a lot of comments today flying about BRICS. Just remember that BRICS is basically like today's ISO or QFS. Like these are all in the same category. These are buzzy phrases that are meant to invoke a feeling of like fear or nervousness in you. And they're usually being used by marketers to push you to invest in specific cryptos that they claim will somehow be immune to whatever horrible global threat they're fear mongering about with regards to talking point X. So BRICS is one of them. The ISO 200, whatever the hell, is another one of them. QFS, Quantum Financial System, is another one. XRP is not individually one of those, but people use XRP as an excuse to push fear-mongery things all over the place.
Yeah.
So XRP is like a collateralized victim of basically every conspiracy theory, regardless of and they don't do anything to quell that because it benefits them, because they make money off of it. So just remember that. QFS is bullshit. BRICS is overrated. ISO doesn't mean anything. Okay, just keep those things in mind. Those are being used to sell you tokens that you probably would not want if you weren't scared about it. And then on the note of about like developer adoption, developer friendliness with regards to languages like Move versus Rust, this is something that we have a stream coming up in the next couple weeks as soon as we can line up a schedule with my father to talk about this specifically. There are very few people that I know who are more qualified to talk about using different languages. One thing that he'll tell you is that listening to someone tell you that like a blockchain, because the use of one language is present, is like better or worse could mean several different things. First of all, developers love the languages that they use. They use them because they like them. They use them because they can use them to do the thing that they would like to do. Languages are purpose-based. So coding languages have very little to do with the potential for mass adoption. If the language being used is the best one to do the thing that you're supposed to do with it in the blockchain ecosystem that you're supposed to be using it in, it will get adopted if people care about it. The language itself is very rarely the reason that something does well. Lots use Rust, lots use C. C is very common. Lots of people who write know how to do stuff with C. However, you have ecosystems like Multiverse X, which theoretically are very easy to build in because of the languages they use, and yet no one on Earth gives a single flying shit about anything happening in that ecosystem. So just keep that in mind. He will also talk about Rust because Rust has like purpose that is beneficial for. So the exception is that when a language like does something really well, and like blockchain really wants to do one thing, then of course, ecosystems where you can use that thing typically, they just make it a little bit easier to onboard. So it becomes sort of like a selling point, but not like the reason that it's going to overall succeed. Cardano is a great example because they chose to use Haskell, which is a really specific language that does specific things. It's very good at what it does. It's an interesting choice for the specific thing that they're doing with it. My dad can also talk very uniquely about that because he knows the guy who designed the Haskell programming language. They went to school together. Yeah. So he can offer some better insight there. When we start to get into the specifics of like hyper technical specific languages like Haskell, we're way over my head.
I don't think we need to get into them, frankly.
No, that would be more of like a niche thing. Like if you were genuinely interested in hearing, like the PhD answer why, then he could tell you that.
Somewhere in the chat, Devil King is like, "Oh no." all our developer friends are like, "Shucks."
all I know about the languages specifically is that like we picked Multiverse X because of language inclusivity for the developers that we were working with, and it ended up not being the choice just because of that. Like it takes way more than that. And I also know that my dad has been bull texting me about Solana for the past 2 weeks just because of how much he enjoys using Rust for these specific things that he's doing things with because of the way that it works. And he's just like, dude, this is really cool. And my dad is the farthest thing from a maxi that you can get when it comes to crypto. He couldn't give less of a shit about crypto. He just cares about writing programs that work.
You said rapid fire, but you poured yourself a cup of tea, so I'm going to help you move along out the door.
Well, that was a lot.
Say, is there anything else urgent or pressing that you want to share? Questions, suggestions, good jokes, words of
Urgent
wisdom,
or pressing? No.
before you literally go ride your dogs off into the sunrise.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I am sorry to dash, but I'm trying to cram about 2 weeks worth of stuff into every week of my life right now, and it's tricky. So thank you all for being here. I'm excited to do some profit stuff for the rest of this week. I think that that's super important. Plus, I love listening to Will talk about it specifically because you've made some very difficult choices, I think, with like your personal portfolio management, especially given the way that like, you know, these things are publicly perceived by people who don't have a firm grasp on how to operate all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that we have a bunch of really good perspectives that will come together to make the profit thing make a little bit more sense, hopefully, or hopefully push people to be a little bit more proactive, like with their strategy, instead of just being, you know, if you're here, we want you not to be the bag holders. We don't want you guys to be the top buyers, the ones that like hold the bag until the next bull run, right? Like that sucks. We don't wish that on anybody. But no, I'm stoked. Sorry to dash.
No fret, Alex. We'll see you tomorrow, man. Go save some dogs.
I will see you guys.
Now, everybody else, I've got a little bit more time. I was planning on carrying the show on. Will, are you still good for a couple more minutes to take some crypto questions?
I'm still
good,
here.
man. Like
Oh
I
my
told you with my
God.
regular day
Oh my
job, all my
God.
deals are closed for the year already, except for one. So I got a light workload.
That's Alex over in the StreamYard. You can't see him, but I feel his presence.
Okay, bye-bye.
Honestly, get the hell out of here, man. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
If you've got a crypto question, if you're curious or concerned about anything that we've been talking about, we would love to hear from you. There's no 1-800 number to call. If you're one of our community members, you can tap the little request button below on TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Unlonely, leave a request in the comments. Or if there's just not enough space in the comments, you can hop in the Discord server. We'd love to see you there. It is discord.gg/riseup. It's totally free to join. We've got all the fun resources and the best community on the blockchain there. All that's missing is you. I'm going to pop the link for you TikTokers so you can see it. What are you seeing in the chat, Will, or what are you thinking?
There was a question of like, have you guys tried staking Bitcoin on Base yet? I am so tempted to, but at the same time, I'm so scared to do anything with my Bitcoin other than just leave it where it is in its hardware wallet and don't ever let it touch DeFi in any way, shape, or form, that I haven't done it. Like I trust that Coinbase has more than likely done a very, 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 very good job. But at the same time, I don't want to put any of my Bitcoin at risk of something going wrong, right?
Oh man.
I haven't. I've been so close to doing it so many times because earning yield on my Bitcoin would be amazing. But my Bitcoin's my sweet baby boy, and I'd want nothing bad to happen to it, you know?
Could you imagine?
So I haven't. Yeah, I would be devastated.
It'd be like Mount Gox all over again.
Yeah. So, and I thought about taking like 1 or 2 Bitcoin. I have a decent chunk of Bitcoin, everyone. I could take like 1 or 2 Bitcoin and like put it over there. But at the same time, if I lose 1 or 2 Bitcoin, right now that's 6 figures, you know? So it's like, I don't want to lose 6 figures. I've done that before. I don't want to do it again. Yeah. So, that's why I don't. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's safe. There haven't been any problems lately. There's been a good chunk of Bitcoin moving over and doing that. Because like you go and you put it on Coinbase, and then the underlying Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, then you can kind of like pipe on over to Base. And so your Bitcoin's at Coinbase, but if something happens to your underlying Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, then you don't have the collateralized asset to go and get your Bitcoin back. And so it's if something happens,
a lot of ways to lose it.
Yeah. I am not over invested in altcoins to the point where if I lost my altcoins, I would be devastated. I'd be super pissed off and sad. It'd be a lot of money lost. But if I lost my Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's going up basically indefinitely. If I lost my Bitcoin, I would not be okay.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
So no, I haven't done it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want. Nick says we could use ICP and use their derivative to get max yield, but I face that same worry that Will does. What if you park your derivative in a bad place? What if something happens to that? What if I don't know if it's better to trust Coinbase who, jumps through a lot of hoops to get permission to offer that kind of thing in the first place. And honestly, if you haven't looked into the mechanics of it, they sacrifice a lot on their CBBTC to make it so that your assets are backed 1-to-1. They're not doing other DeFi stuff with your Bitcoin. They're just holding it. Of course, their terms and conditions could change at any time. But I don't know. I haven't started doing it either, man. I've shared a video about how to do it, and I just feel the same way you do. I would love to earn on my Bitcoin, but I feel like it's the most precious crypto asset I have.
Yeah. That's why, honestly, if I wanted staking rewards on like a large market cap, I would probably go to, when it happens, the Ethereum ETF. When it has staking turned on, like that's what I would go to, just because like I don't want something happen, because like regulatorily I'm financially covered by BlackRock,
exactly,
and I don't have to worry about something like that. That's when I would go to an ETF product. Otherwise, like Bitcoin, I'll never go to a Bitcoin ETF unless like, when I have kids, potentially taking my Bitcoin and putting it into a Bitcoin ETF, because then you don't have to worry about like your kids being dipshits and like just like fucking up the whole custody thing,
And to anybody who's curious, you can still try these products. Like they are a low risk way maybe to do something with your Bitcoin, but it is riskier than just holding. In terms of you're exposing that chunky, you could get some returns, but could be bad for you. I don't know. We had another question down here. There's someone I want to talk about. Arthur Castlebar. Arthur, I haven't had a conversation about your product on the show. Arthur has messaged me. I want to just use that as a way to say, if you want to try and get our attention, I am so grateful for it. But the best way is not to send a DM. Please don't send me a DM, because there are a lot of people in my DMs. Most of them are scammers, and I just won't ever see you. Leave comments on our videos. We all check our comments. Leave a comment in the Discord server, or the Discord server if you're watching on YouTube. And I have had a lot of DMs, Will, lately about like scams and scammy products. And I want to know if you have too. And specifically, I want to know if you've seen an increase in, there is a legitimate wallet whose name is escaping me. I can't remember if it's SafePal or Safe Wallet, but a lot of people have been scammed by, I forget the name of the scam, but have you ever seen the scam, Will, where they contact you and they say, maybe you've invested with them, maybe you haven't, but they've got money for you in a SafePal wallet. It's a wallet. It doesn't have to be SafePal. Could be any wallet. It's a wallet that they have the seed phrase to, and they tell you all you got to do is pay a fee or put some tokens for gas in the wallet, and then you can move the money. And what happens is they've got the seed phrase to the wallet, and as soon as you move the gas funds or the tokens or whatever, they pull it out. And they just go on to the next person. I have seen a lot more of those lately. And I'm not saying this project from Arthur is one of those. I think it's just a, run of the mill, we're going to build a metaphor, send us your money kind of thing. Have you been seeing more of those lately? And do you have words of wisdom that you would add for people to avoid them?
I haven't seen more of it, honestly. My DMs are just like questions of like, hey, I'm in this coin, but I was thinking about this coin. What are your thoughts about like why and why not for doing that? What are your thoughts on Aerodrome? It's been more of like the typical questions you have. I haven't really gotten too many questions about scams, or it's been like questions about wallets, things from like beginners. But the thing is like in general with scams is if somebody reaches out to you, it's a scam. If somebody reaches out to you, it's a scam. If somebody reaches out to you by putting a token in your wallet that you didn't sign up for, that's a sign of somebody reaching out to you. It's a scam. If somebody replies to you and says, hey, send me a DM, it's a scam.
It's a scam.
If anybody sends you an email, and I get this a lot, I get attempted hacks through my email of phishing attacks through pretend Coinbase emails. I get a ton of them. And what you do is you just look to see what the email address actually is, and it'll be like xywq@hotmail.com, and you're like, you're not Coinbase. So like, if you get an email from the centralized exchange that you do, they're reaching out to you. Odds are it's a scam. If it's the real Coinbase, call them. They have a customer support. Talk to a person who actually works there. If anybody reaches out to you, treat it like a scam. You know, if you reach out to somebody, right? If you reach out directly to me in Discord, I am talking to you one-on-one in our Discord, right? That's a little different. But if somebody reaches out to you in the form of an email, in the form of a DM, in the form of sending you a token, in the form of DMing you on Discord saying that they're somebody, don't engage. Don't engage.
Yeah. And if you want to get our attention, like I say, please don't send us a DM here on TikTok because it is so, it's just it's the worst chat feature ever. It's not,
Yep.
I don't know. It's not as robust. It's one more place that we have to check. And I don't mean to say that like I'm ungrateful that somebody would trust me with their questions. I'm sure you do too, Will. And I know Alex does take it as a great honor that anybody anywhere would want to talk to us and ask our opinions, seek our counsel about this stuff. That's something we take very seriously. And because of that,
hey guys, just give us your cell number, then we'll know it's you.
Yeah, exactly right. let me KYC with you real quick. That's why we open channels like the Discord. That's why we open channels like video comments so that you can reach us there and there is less surface area for scammers to attack you. And also because then we can respond to more people. The worst thing is when somebody inboxes me and they ask me a really good question and I have to message them and say, hey, will you please comment under one of my videos so I can respond with a video? You know, it's no big deal. But if you have to do that a lot, it's like, you know, it's fatiguing. I want to make the most of your time, everybody.
Yeah. Also, for the people who joined the Discord too, I know some people have sent me DMs also, but I don't answer. I don't even open DMs in Discord because people try to scam there too. And I don't accept friend requests in it also, unless of course we have like a talking relationship. So if you want to ask me questions in the Discord, just go in the general chat, hit the @ button, pick my name, tag me. I get a ping right on my phone. I typically try to answer it within like 2 hours. Yeah.
And also,
that's the best way to ask us questions in the Discord.
If you specifically want to do project research, then the best place to ask us is the Discord, because every Wednesday we do the After Dark stream. Rise Up After Dark is specifically focused on, you've got a crypto project, you've got an altcoin you want to hear us talk about. We will talk about it there. We've done a lot of them. We've done Sui, we've done Toncoin, we've done Aptos, we've done you name it, we've probably done it. But Arthur, man, if you want to get not just my opinion, but everyone's opinion on this project, then please share it there, because it's just not really the purvey of our show to make recommendations when people, you know, come to us and say, hey, I want people to invest in my project. Will you share it with your audience? That's just not what we do. But the forum we have for it is Rise Up After Dark, where we will look at your company and we'll tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. So,
Yep.
All right. I'm not looking at the chat well. I did see a question a little while back that I want to address, and then maybe can you scroll and double check to see if we haven't missed any good ones? Because somebody I see is just asking about your thoughts. I just wanted to very quickly say to Hublai, who was talking about BRICS, that there is a legitimate organization called BRICS, just as there is a legitimate science for quantum computing. QFS is a scam. A lot of the BRICS crypto tokens are overhyped. They're not necessary for you to worry about right now, unless you like their fundamentals for some other reason. If you are concerned about geopolitics, then maybe I would go follow a friend of ours like Gio Husar. He certainly will be talking about BRICS today, as the BRICS summit is happening right now in Russia. And that's a big deal. There'll probably be some big meeting points. There'll probably be some bilateral talks between Vladimir Putin and who knows who else. So if you're somebody who's concerned about geopolitics and their influence on crypto or other markets, that's certainly a story worth paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. I saw a few questions here. There was a question on Sui's inflation and being a concern. So like just general, this is for Sui, this is for Aerodrome, this is for Immutable X, this is for coins with a lot of high increase of supply. If the project is getting adoption amongst its targeted audience, Immutable X is, Aerodrome is, Sui is on that path, for sure, then inflation doesn't matter. The token supply increasing gets outweighed by massive waves of adoption. So don't be too worried about that if it's getting adopted. If it's not getting adopted, you very much so need to be worried about the increase in supply of tokens. But for Sui, for Aerodrome, for an Immutable X, not really worried about it at all, because the adoption eats up the supply. The other question was, will Aerodrome go down to $1? I'll give my thoughts on it. I have buy orders for Aerodrome between $1.10 to 94 cents. So however many of those hit, wonderful. I'm happy with. I'm gonna run away with, right? And that's going to be the last of the cash that I have to buy altcoins, and then I'm good to go for the next number of months, however long, right? And then there was another question by the person who just said thanks, and I'm forgetting. It was no, wait, no, it wasn't by
I always see that, and I think that's McDonald's.
Oh yeah, but it was a question by Spook365, which is, hey guys, Will, would love to hear your thoughts on Axelar. So Axelar was one of the coins we did with Michael from Andromeda, which is a Web3 game, and he's a former SEC attorney also. And we were all pretty new to Axelar. We were very impressed with Axelar. So if I remember correctly, what Axelar does, it has a ton of partners in the space. It has adoption amongst its targeted audience, which is like Web3 protocols and companies. And it helps to facilitate the communication and the transfer of data and connection between Uniswap is a customer of theirs, between Uniswap and another project or chain that isn't on Ethereum. So it is like an interoperability bridge maker, if you will. But it helps to focus on the facilitation of data and communication between those protocols, which is really cool and useful. And it has a ton of adoption in the space. So I like Axelar a lot. I haven't looked at its price chart in a while, but it was one of those coins that I think popped off when the markets were doing well earlier this year. So I think Axelar could do really, really well. The only worry I have with Axelar is that maybe it's in the same category as a chain swap, where hey, it's doing really good stuff from an infrastructure standpoint, but infrastructure isn't really the sexiest of projects. So I would expect its value to go up similar to chain swap, but it might not give you monumental gains. But Axelar, it really impressed myself and Alex and Michael. Evan wasn't able to join us on that one.
But I saw the review and I was impressed by it.
Yeah, we were impressed by it. Axelar is definitely worth having on your research list at the very least, even if you don't decide to buy it, in my opinion.
Yeah, you guys gave it an A-, I feel like, or an A maybe.
Yeah, we did give it an A-, or a B+. I think it was an A-.
It was a B. Jito was one Mel was asking about. I don't think I was there for that one either. I don't have an opinion on Jito. Do you have an opinion on Jito? Which one's Jito?
Jito was the lending protocol on Solana that gave the $10,000 airdrop.
Yeah. That's great. The airdrop.
So, yeah. So I like Jito because it does its job well. But the thing is DeFi protocols that aren't decentralized exchanges have had a tendency in this bull run to not do super great from a price standpoint. That's one reason why once Moonwell got listed on Coinbase, I was like, okay, cool. That might be it for Moonwell. Now with Moonwell, which is a lending protocol on Base, a lot of people are talking about it now because it had a big pop because it got listed on Coinbase. It could still do very well because there still just aren't a lot of really high quality coins to invest in on Base, in my personal opinion. There aren't a ton that I've found that I really, really like. But the ones that I've found, I really like. Aerodrome, obviously. And so because of that limited selection of high quality projects on Base at the moment, Moonwell could do well just because people are looking for another high quality project and they go into Aerodrome, they go into Moonwell, and they play with memes. Right? That might be what happens. So Moonwell might do well just because of that. But lending protocols this entire bull run have just kind of not done the greatest.
No, even the established ones, the Lidos, etc.
Exactly. They just haven't done great. So Yeah. That's why with Jito, I like it. It does what it does really, really well. It has a lot of adoption, but it's just not in a category that's trending super hot at the moment.
Yeah, and there's so many questions coming in of tokens that I don't know. I don't know about Elastos. I've never heard of it.
I've looked at it before, and it was one of those coins that I then erased out of my mind. But I get asked about it when I do my own individual lives, and looked into it, and I went, eh. Oh, we also looked into it on another episode of
Rise Up After Dark
too, and I'm pretty sure we gave it a not the greatest grade.
And Nick, of course, wants to know about ICP, and I would say that's probably my last one for now. If you have altcoin picks, throw them in. You feel free to throw them in the chat. We can certainly talk about this, but the best place to get our thorough research take, you really want to see us pack them apart, is going to be drop them in the Discord. The link is on the screen, and then we will do them at a Rise Up After Dark show. ICP, man, Nick, I love it. I know and love people there, but I just don't think it's gonna have the who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't see anything there that gives me enough conviction to invest my attention or my money in it with the expectation to get a return on that money in this cycle, the way I have the expectation to generate a return on the Solana holdings I have. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
think, Will, you feel the same, don't you? More or less, there's just other stuff.
Yeah, very much so. Because the thing is, I'll change my opinion because like I invest where the money goes, and you can watch that on DeFi Llama. You can watch money flowing into Sui. You can watch money flowing onto Base. You can watch money flowing onto Solana. You can watch money begin flowing onto Say. You were able to watch it going onto Toncoin, on something like DeFi Llama. When you pull up DeFi Llama on ICP, it doesn't have money going to it. When you look it up on like how many wallets and transactions it has, like you don't really see a ton of growth as compared to these other chains. So like to me, I have no reason or desire in any way, shape, or form to invest in ICP just because like it hasn't shown me that it's getting adoption of people or money. And if it doesn't have those two things, it's not getting adoption amongst its targeted audience. I typically don't invest, or at the very least, I don't invest large sums of money.
Yeah, that's the same. I am not that interested in being first to like, I don't know, hype protocols and narratives. I would prefer to, my play generally is, we've talked about this a lot on the show. In a case like Sui, for example, instead of asking, should I buy a token? I ask, what's the purpose of the token? All the questions Will said. And then by the time I'm hearing about it, even someone like me who's here all the time, every day, it's usually too late if I wasn't in on the ground. And then I look, if it's got an ecosystem or an adjacent player or a competitor or something like that, then that's where I spend my time and attention. With Sui specifically, we talked about Cetus, and what was the other one, Will?
Navi protocol.
Navi protocol, and there are others that are companies who are building in those ecosystems that you can be earlier to, newer to. If you're bullish on ICP, I think there are probably a lot of adjacent projects. Nick, I know you know him better than I do. Talking to Nick in the comments, you know him better than I do. I would be more inclined to think that was a better pick for my portfolio than ICP, which has one of the worst charts of all time, and everybody who looks at it just is going to say no thanks. Is that Maverick,
Sorry.
Will, or is that your parents' dog?
This is Maverick. Yeah, you good boy. Yeah, murder it. Rip it apart. Rip it to shreds. Yeah. He's a good boy.
He is a good boy. I know he is. He's a sweet boy. Well, what do you say? We're at about the 90-minute mark. We've both got dogs, and that's about as good as it gets. Maybe we should ride our dogs off into the sunsets. Yeah. You want to give a final thought? Last couple questions we'll get in, and then we'll send it off.
Yeah. Last thoughts. If you guys haven't seen my morning update videos, I think with sorry. I think with altcoins, we got about 1 or 2 weeks to buy at these like lower levels. But the thing is you're going to get pretty frustrated because you're going to see like Bitcoin's going up and people are tweeting all these good things, but your altcoins are going to be holding flat or going down still. You're going to be frustrated, but just know that like the comeback for these altcoins, when they do come back, it's going to be aggressive. So like have some patience. If you bought some good coins, they're going to pop off and they're going to do well. Just, have patience.
Well said. My last thought is I'm going to take a stab at the question, next narrative. What is it? The next narrative is going to be whatever gets the most attention. Could it be decentralized socials? Sure. Could it be blockchains rebranding? Sure. Could it be ETH scaling, Bitcoin, BRC20s? I think there are so many potential things. I think one area that I'm particularly interested in watching that a lot of people aren't really talking about yet at scale this run is I think we're going to start to see more proof in the pudding for rollups and ZK sync, zero knowledge stuff in the form of like verifiable credentials, more real world applications for some of the real world assets that we're bringing on chain. I think we're going to start seeing stuff like that. I don't know what the word is going to be for it, but that's been an inevitability, it seems like, for a long time. So when it happens, we'll tell you about it. And in the meantime, like it's said in the comments, whatever the Wall Street guys are investing in is probably a safe bet. So,
Yeah, that's probably a safe bet.
you know, you got to make sure Larry Fink gets his money. Jump in the Discord.
He doesn't have enough of it, guys.
Yeah,
Right?
honestly.
I mean, he doesn't have all of it yet, so that's what he's going for.
Yeah, Uncle Larry, send me a Christmas card. If you haven't jumped in the Discord, it's right here on the screen on TikTok. It's right here on the screen on YouTube. Head over there and check out the riseupmorningshow.com. We've got the final class in a series of free courses we've been doing this month, Portfolio Principles. It's a question and answer. We'll talk about how to build a portfolio, how to do your own research. That's the focus topic, or revise a portfolio that you have. And then just answer questions. And it will be a lot of fun. You'll meet other people at all levels of experience. We'll learn and grow together. If you want to see recordings for any of the other classes we've done, the How to DeFi class, the How to Avoid Scams class, the Web3 101 class where we teach you about wallets and stuff, that's all available for you at the riseupmorningshow.com. You can get a recording or register again in the future when we offer those classes live. The best way to stay up to date with that is to join the community. It's totally free. Okay. Thank you guys for being the best part of what we do. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. And then we'll be back for Rise Up After Dark, 12 hours